Masculinity is a journey. It's not a destination. It's how we operate. It's a ability to lead ourselves and others at a higher level.
You're a man living in the modern world in a time when men and manhood are not what they once were. You live life on your own terms. You're self-sufficient. You think for yourself and you march to the beat of your own drum. When life knocks you down, you get back up because in your gut, you know that's what men do. You're a badass and a warrior. And on the days when you forget, we are here to remind you who you really are.
Welcome to Sovereign Man Podcast, where we aim to make men masculine again. I'm your man, Nicky Billou, and we have a repeat guest today, Thomas Pfanner. Welcome to the show, Tom.
Thank you. I'm super excited to be here today.
Good to have you here. Tom, you were on a call with me the other day, and you were talking about masculinity and specifically about how a father passes on notions of masculinity to his son and how there were certain steps that had to be taken. And I don't recall exactly what you said, but I remember thinking, this is gold, right? And I think I ought to bring him back on the podcast to talk about this. So would you mind just unpacking all that for us and just kind of starting there?
Yeah, let's start off by just addressing the elephant in the room, which I hear all the time. There's an attack on masculinity. There's the subtle attacks, but then also an attack that you'll hear is, well, real men fill in the blank.
Right.
Doesn't matter what it is. Real men hunt. Real men pay child support. Real men, like, it doesn't matter what it is. But something I would encourage your listeners to be aware of is that whatever comes after real men is trying to fill in their agenda. There is a core essence of who we are from a little boy. We were a little boy. We wanted to be a big boy. We wanted to be a man. We always want to grow as men. And so it attacks the core of who we are when somebody attempts to stake a claim of like, real men do this, therefore you're fake, you're a pussy. It attacks us at a different level. So I want to go in this with the understanding that masculinity is a journey. It's not a destination. It's how we operate. It's a ability to lead ourselves and others at a higher level. Ultimately, that's how I define masculinity. Your ability to lead yourself and others. Can you do that at a high level?
I like that.
Yeah. And if we're looking at how can we help somebody like a father transfer these values over to their son, it starts with themselves. It starts with their own ability to lead, who they are in their journey. And most of the time as we grow up, our examples of leadership is, here's the list of things that I need you to get done. Here's the assignment for math class. Here's the assignment for the construction project. I'm giving you tasks. You do these tasks for me. This is what's programmed through the way that our society is set up that tells us what leadership looks like. So what happened to me is I got into raising a teenager and I did the same thing I did when I was coaching a football team. Here you go, son. These are the steps. These are what you need to do to be successful. And it's my job to make sure you do it. And Charles was like, well, I don't really want to do this. So I'm going to move out and move in with mom across the state. And that completely flipped everything that I knew on its head. And basically God is like, well, all right, that didn't work. You better figure out something else. Otherwise you're going to lose your son.
So I know you, on the last time you were on the show, you told us about the story of you and your son and the schism in your relationship and how you managed to heal the relationship. But I want to go back and unpack some of what you're saying about masculinity being a journey, not a destination.
Yeah.
So, this whole real men don't do this, real men do that conversation, part of it comes from men wanting to challenge men, right? So that phrase, when used by a man with another man, is intended to challenge him to elevate himself somehow. Now, it may not always be delivered in the most artful way. It may not always be delivered in a way that it lands as a challenge rather than as an attack. But I think at some level, when I look back to times men have told me, real men don't fight with their wives. That's one I heard back in the day, right? Real men don't lose their temper. They know how to keep control of their emotions. And I was always an emotional dude who'd lose his temper at a drop of a hat, right? Let's be honest. And I never liked hearing that. And I always, when someone told me that, I wanted to like punch him in the mouth, and I'd come back with an, oh yeah, right? But I could see once my emotions had calmed down that behind that phrase, behind however way it was delivered, was an intention for a man to deliver something to me to encourage me to be better as a man.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I'd never, in the moment, I may have seen it as an attack or that dude was being an asshole or whatever. But whenever I was in a space of peace and calm and I would review it in my mind, it invariably was a man who was trying to bring something to me.
Yeah.
Like from a good place, from a desire to have me be better. And I wonder what your thoughts are on that statement.
Yeah. So if we look at this now for you, you're very in tune with who you are, who's God's created to be, and also
but I wasn't
your
always
friends.
that way, bro. I wasn't always that way. I used to be very much opposite that, right?
Yeah. And so our teenagers, we know, are very volatile. So if we go back to Nicky, what you're saying, the initial emotion is anger, maybe shame. These are lower frequency emotions that don't allow us to operate in that space of abundance and joy and pursuit.
Right.
And so what we've got to be aware of is if we're feeding this pattern of, well, you need to do this or else you're going to be a high school dropout and a loser. You're feeding this young hero from the space of shame of what they're moving from. You're programming them to operate from the space of fear. And for example, that's why we chose not to use capital punishment on our kids, not because it's like, oh, I'm worried about them getting hurt. Like I'll send them out in a jiu-jitsu tournament and they get banged up and beat up. I'm not worried about that. But it's like, I don't want my leadership to be coming from a space of fear. I want it to be coming from a space of inspiration. I want that come from the space of like, all right, what is it that I'm running into? I want my son to be thinking, what is it that I'm running into? What's the change that I need to make? What's the choice that I'm going to make to step into that? I want him to be thinking at a deeper level about the choices that he's making. I want you to think about this. Do you play chess?
Not lately. I used to when I was younger.
Okay, so just picture
I had a really nice couple of chess sets too back in the day.
So. Yeah. So you got your nice chess set up.
Yeah.
And you've got your friend who's playing, and they're playing Perry or whoever, one of your other friends.
Yeah.
And you see exactly the move that they need to make to be successful. And you say, hey, this is the move you need to make. And they're like, oh, okay, I guess I make the move. I'll move here. And oh, don't do that. And so it's always like you're looking to the leader to make the decision. And so what I want to do as a dad, or as I'm guiding somebody, is to, instead of like, let them make the choice, or maybe if they ask me, I'll go back and ask them like, well, what do you see on the board? I'll try to ask them some guiding questions to help them think about the situation that they're in so that they make the intentional decision. It's the way that they think about the decisions that they make. That's what we want to capture in the young here. That's where true masculinity comes from, is the way that you approach a problem. It's not from a space of fear. It's definitely not from fear. The Bible tells us over and over, do not fear, trust in me. Live by faith and not by sight. But we have to be able to understand the gifts we have, and we have to be able to see what's happening on the board in front of us. If our kids are, you're great at this, asking questions, digging into the pain. What's going to happen if you don't do your assignment? Oh, well, it's probably not going to be that big a deal if this becomes a pattern and like you don't do this assignment or the next assignment, what's going to happen to your, and it just like goes deeper and deeper into, oh, cool, my grade's going to drop. What's the pattern that you're going to create of who you are? Oh,
Yeah.
I see that now. I need to make it. I got to get this done. Now it's coming from within them as opposed to force. And so often in business and in sports and in a classroom, we're in the space of being analyzed for our results rather than looking at the process of the young hero's development, even if that makes it messy for a little while.
So process versus results is
Yes.
one of the steps that you recommend a father look at when it comes to developing his son's masculinity.
Yes. And remove your ego from your son's result or your daughter's result.
I'll tell you, that's been really tough for me. I'm not going to lie to you, man. I've been super proud of my boys when they crush it, you know?
Yeah.
So my eldest son, Kayvon, he was a very skilled and hardworking, crazy work ethic level soccer player. And his coach, who I had enormous respect for, came and told me, your son can go professional. He can go to the top if he wants to. And at the time he wanted to, but you know, the coach had a family thing happen. He was Croatian and he had to go back to Croatia in the middle of the summer season. So between, you know, the grade 11 to grade 12 season. And parents kind of used the coach's lessons to help the kids practice. And it worked for a while. But after a while, it just fell apart because he wasn't there and the leadership wasn't there. And, you know, my son kept at it for about 7 months after the coach said he was leaving. And then one day he told his mom, not me, because he knew how I would feel, that he was done playing soccer. I was devastated because I thought, man, and it was selfish on my part. I thought all my childhood dreams about glory could come true through my son, but he wanted to go on another path. And I got angry, and you know, and he told me, he says, the reason I didn't tell you because I knew you were going to get mad, Dad. I'm like, God, you know, it took me. I went to men in my life that I knew had sons that were, you know, at one point the age my son is now, but not, they'd gone through this sort of thing. And the coaching they all gave me is, you can't be coming at your son with your anger, right? And they said, this is about you and your ego and what you need.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh God, okay, yeah, you're right. To this day, it aches inside of me though, man. And he's successful. He's doing good.
You want to drop into that a little bit?
Sure. He's 20 years old. He is the most savage 20-year-old I know. He's Lance's fitness coach, okay? So, I mean, he's got 80 clients as a fitness coach. He works 7 days a week. He's a savage. But inside my heart, now the World Cup's I was thinking back then, he's going to be playing in the World Cup in 2026 for Canada, right?
Let's go. Yeah.
Oh God. And I'm watching Canada play and I'm going, Kayvon should be there. He'd do better than that. Like I constantly tell myself this crap.
Yeah. So anger is the emotion you told me that you felt.
Yeah.
Anger always comes from, you owe me. That's the heart posture of anger. Somebody else owes me something, which ultimately, when we get down underneath that, it's that I didn't do something that I could have done.
Yeah, it's true.
So what is it? You just close your eyes for a minute, Nicky, and look into it. What is it that you didn't do for yourself that's generating that anger?
Well, I don't need to close my eyes because I've done this when it came up with my son. Like I had nauseum, right? This was 2 years ago. I never fully went after my dreams. You know, I would just hold back. And my work ethic when I was his age, until much later in life, was not as strong as his. I held back. And I'm angry at myself at some level for that. And that anger was misplaced toward my son. And look, my son is so much more savage than I was at his age, so much more. But honestly, I know.
Have you shared that with Kayvon?
Oh God, yeah. Yeah, I told him.
Good.
I told him at the time. I mean, I'm proud of him. He's, you know, one day he was like 6 months into this new job of his. Now he's almost 2 years into it. July will be 2 years. And he's kind of like a contractor. He's got a business within a business for Hammer Camera of Hammer Fitness. And, you know, there was this awards dinner for Hammer Fitness for their clients. And so, you know, I sat at the same table with Kayvon and my other son, Kamran, and Kayvon's mom and Teresa. So we're kind of blended family situation here. And one of the people at the table just said, hi, I'm so-and-so. And I said, hi. And She said, I train here, and my daughter trains here. And she said, what's your name? And I said, I'm Nicky Billou. She said, Nicky Billou. She says, are you related to Kayvon? I go, yes, he's my son. And she says, oh, he's such a great boy. And, just went on and on about how great he was.
Yeah.
And I just said, thank you. You know what I mean? And she said, I hope he appreciates all that you've done for him. And I mean, I'm sure he does, I mean, what else am I going to say?
Yeah.
She says, does he ever come up and thank you? Tell you, Dad, thanks for all you've done for me? I go, not really. No, he's a man. Right? And she says, but don't you want that? Don't you want him to do that? Shouldn't he do that for you? Like, she was almost angry on my behalf, which was really interesting. Yeah. And I just thought, man, that energy has been the energy that I've had. And I said to her and to myself, I said, look at this kid. He was at the time, not even 19 yet. He was 18. He said he's 18, he's 20 now. He's working full time. He's got his path in life figured out. And he's not a financial burden on his parents. In fact, he's helping his mom out financially. And I go, I raised him. That's all the thanks I need. That's all the thanks I need. And I meant it with every fiber of my being. I don't need him to come give me a pat on the back. I just like.
Well, and what we're talking about right here is big, because if you're listening to this and you have this thing like, man, my kids should be so thankful for what now you're talking about an exchange.
Yeah.
You're talking of, even if it's a thank you, like I pour into my son at 100% every day. And he's 18 now. He's going to be 19 in September. There are days that I talk to him for 20 minutes. There are days that I may just send him an Instagram reel that makes me think of it. But there's something that I'm doing. I'm being a dad today. It's checking off my box to know that I'm providing for him, and that's what God's called me to do. But I'm not doing it with any expectation. There's zero expectation that Charles is going to thank. And the reason that's significant is if there's a dad that feels, or a mom that feels that this like need for their son to say, or daughter to say, thank you, Mom. Oh my gosh. Or Dad, like, this is so benefit. Like, now they are like, oh, this isn't a true gift. And Jesus teaches us, like, a true gift, there's no expectation. It's just given.
Yeah. 100%.
And if something comes back, cool. That's bonus.
Something does come back, but not necessarily from your son. You know what I mean?
Right.
Something always comes back. It's just how God operates, man. But yeah, this transactional thinking isn't for me, and certainly not with my children. Certainly not.
We're talking a lot about language today, so I just want to highlight this in the statement that Nicky was making from this woman who obviously had we've all got our programming, but she said, your son should A, B, or C.
Yeah. Take
this action. Should is the language of shame, which is one of the lowest frequencies that we can operate in.
Yeah.
So if you're like, hey, you know what you should do, even if you're talking to yourself, man, I know I should be exercising. Whew. Well, you know what? Now you've just associated shame with exercising, or shame with not exercising, like the whole operation, as opposed to like what I go through. Here's kind of a bonus for your listeners. What I go through with my clients is shifting their language to, it would serve me to exercise. It would serve me to take this action. Or if you're guiding a young hero, maybe asking like, do you think it would serve your growth if you did this? Do you think that would serve your mission if you can ask it in a way where it allows, as opposed to at the beginning of the episode where you talked about somebody pushing an agenda or an outcome, it's shifting their brain into a space of curiosity and their heart into this openness of like, oh, this would serve my journey. This would move me closer to where I want to be, which is what very, very few people do. Very, very few people think about where they want to go and move towards it. Most people are just moving away from what's right behind them.
95% of people have a move away bias. Only 5% of people have a move toward bias. That's why in sales, right? When you and I are talking about this, you need to dig into their pain. Because if you just talk about how great things are going to be in the future, they're not going to buy. You know what I mean? They have to look at how bad it could be, so they are motivated to act. You know, that's interesting. You know, this whole question of Focus on the process rather than the results. Remove your ego from the results. And your anger is usually sparked by your ego. That's fascinating to me.
Yeah. Perfect example. Just happened to me last week. My daughter had her like kindergarten, end of kindergarten ceremony with the parents. And it started at, let's say, 2:00. I was like, all right, cool. So the school is like 5-minute drive.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, all right, cool. Let's leave at like 2:30. And my wife was like, oh no, it's probably fine. I mean, it's a 5-minute drive, so we could leave at like 2:15. Like, yeah, but there's some other things that I kind of surrendered more than I should have, and ended up being like, okay, yeah, we can leave later. And then she's like, well, do we need our IDs to get into the school? I was like, no, it's fine. Like, we're gonna be late. Like, we'll figure it out. I didn't see anything in the emails about needing IDs. So we get there, and of course they're like, hey, do you have your IDs? And they're like, well, what? All right, well, you know what? I'm just not going to see my daughter's graduation then. Like, let's just go. So this anger that I had towards this person was really towards myself, because I knew if I would have trusted myself at the beginning and give myself extra time and taken that lead and give ourselves more margin, we wouldn't be in the situation. So it's all underneath anger at myself. But unfortunately, this lady got like a darker side of me when she said, I don't know if you're going to be able to go in and see your daughter's graduation because you don't have your ID. But yeah, it's always coming back to our own stuff anytime something comes out towards somebody else.
There's truth to that. There's truth to that. There's truth to that. No question about it. So walk me through how all this helps your son develop into a masculine man rather than a pussy.
Yeah. Looking at our own journey, like you do, you're busy, you have other things that you do, right? And like, I have to, like, I'm tremendously proud of my son when he competes in wrestling or jujitsu, or he may compete in MMA. That's awesome.
Cool.
I'm also competing. I'm also on my own journey in martial arts. I'm also on my own fitness journey. And so I know I'm attached to what I can control in my pursuit of fitness and athleticism. It removes my ego from being overly attached to my kids. And I see it like in my daughter's softball. Parents are like, not even though it's just they're 6, they're like not allowing their kids to just joy and like have fun with it, because they're so like, oh, you got to have the throw right, you got to have the bat right, you got to have everything. And the kids are like, gosh, when's the season over? And my daughter's like, it's our last game. This is so fun. So it's allowing our kids to be, yeah, it's allowing our kids to be kids and allowing yourself to be a kid ultimately, and fuel that part of yourself. It's like one of the big foundations is leading by example and letting that example do the work, which is really hard for us to do as parents, to just let go. I think that was kind of the phrase that I had in our meeting last week, was like, lead by letting go.
Yeah.
We're giving them the chessboard to go and make a mistake. And if they get checkmated, then okay, cool. Did you have fun? Great. You're going to learn and you're going to do some more tomorrow.
Yeah, it's interesting. When I've taken my sons to sports, and I'm not really doing that anymore, because they're 18 and 20, but the way that the coaches set up parental involvement is you stay far away. You can watch, but we take care of your sons. We'll send them back to you. And if a father or a mother, for that matter, started screaming and yelling at the kid, the coach would stop, go to the parent and say, stop doing that. And if they wouldn't do that, they'd remove them from the field.
Yeah.
They'd remove them from the field. And that was a salient learning point for me. It helped teach me how to be a father, helped teach me what was what. So I appreciate that.
Well, and like in your example of the soccer game, sports are a beautiful analogy of how they do outside of, and how they operate outside of sports, outside of school, just being and letting them explore. If you think about the kid whose parents just like looks almost disengaged, which I'm not, like, I play with my kids, I read them stories, I do everything I need to prepare them to go out in the moment. That kid is able to go out and enjoy, and his operating system is, all right, what is it that I needed to do to be successful in this moment of the soccer game? And I'm going to go and do that. And the parent that's yelling is like, oh my gosh, there's this connection, this over attachment to what the parent's saying, what the parents expect, what the parents, is my dad going to be upset with me? Am I going to be like looked down upon if I don't perform as well at a higher level? Because look at my dad seems to be really emotional about this activity and how I perform. So it's very this balance of like training, but also letting the experience do the teaching. Because I taught PE for 7 years.
Wow.
And so other teachers would go and they would do like math, like this is how to do the steps. I'd be like, here's a soccer ball. We'll do a few drills and then you're going to go out and play. The play itself, the activity, whether it's dodgeball or hockey or whatever, that's what's doing the teaching. It's not me. It's the experience. The experience does the teaching. And so that's like we talk about leading by letting go. It's letting the experience be the teacher. And you're there to be giving them a high five at the end, no matter what happens.
Honestly, the experience is the only thing that can be the teacher.
Yes.
So you help your son become masculine, really, by putting him in environments where he's going to learn lessons through experience. And you can sit back and communicate with him, speak with him about how to integrate those lessons, but you gotta let him take those lessons on and learn them for himself.
Yes.
And that makes sense to me because when I look back on how I raised my sons, that's pretty much what I did.
Yeah.
And there'd be times I'd intervene and, lay down the hammer and whatnot if they were doing something stupid, like, taking somebody's car without asking permission and stuff like that. but other than that, got to give them a lot of leeway. And one of my mentors back in the day used to say to me, the difference between a mother's job and a father's job is simple. He said a mother's job is to make sure her kids don't get hurt, period. That's her job, right? A father's job is to make sure his kids don't get hurt too much. And I just thought, that's, that doesn't capture all of it, but it captures a lot of it. Yeah. It captures a lot of it.
Yeah. I've got a chapter in my book, Dads Who Lead, that talks about this exact thing.
Oh, yeah?
It's called Chapter 18, Mothers Care, Fathers Prepare.
Mothers care, fathers prepare. I like it.
So like naturally the women are going to be more nurturing and making sure that like if I got home from a football practice, my mom would make sure I had, a full fridge and what I needed and that I was comfortable. My dad's job was to make sure that I was uncomfortable. Or I got comfortable being uncomfortable. I was prepared to go out and do things outside the home. If we only have the comfort, that doesn't prepare you to go out and stretch and expand. We need that safety as men to know that like, hey, we can go out and we can get roughed up and have some challenges and come back and still be loved. Super important. Equally, if not more important, is having that challenge, having something like I remember my dad, I woke up one morning, I was 16 and my dad, he was 45 when I was born. So he must've been like in his 60s.
Wow.
He's out on the side of our hill, like pulling ivy on a Saturday morning. It's like 8:30 in the morning. I was probably up late. And like, here I am, a 16-year-old, young and healthy, fit, squatting, doing all the things for football. And he's over here, 61 years old on the side of the hill working. And it just made me like, damn, didn't say anything. I'm like, I'm feeling kind of lazy. I'm kind of feeling like I need to go out and do something with my day now that I see my dad out here busting his ass. But it's like the dads are there. We're here to help prepare our heroes for what's going to be ahead. And the role is going to look very different than a mom's, especially when you're talking about teenagers, because dads can be honest and truthful about what, especially if you have young men, like women don't really have a full understanding of what men are going to go through as they're becoming established and the challenges that they're going to face. So
no, a mother can love a son, but she can't show him how to be a man. That's a father's job.
Yeah.
It's a father's job. No, well said.
Yeah.
Tom, man, it's been a fun conversation. I really enjoyed it. Hold up your book again real quick.
Yeah.
So this is called Dads Who Lead, The Ultimate Guide to Stop Parenting and Start Leading by Tom Pfanner. Folks, check it out. Go on Amazon. It makes a great gift to other people in your family who are either fathers or on the way to becoming fathers. Frankly, I think it's a good book for teenage sons to read as well. So
Yeah.
I suggest you pick up a copy and pick up maybe 5 copies of the book. And it is a inexpensive but highly valuable gift. You know, they say that leaders are readers and readers are leaders. And if you're all about being a leader yourself and helping develop the next generation of leaders, encourage people to read. Encourage people to read. And one of the ways you can encourage them to read is to buy them books, hand them out as gifts. I'm a big fan of doing that. Yeah. Tom, man, thanks for coming on the show again, man. Look forward to having you on again next time.
Thank you, brother. It was a blast.
Yeah, it was. And that's a wrap.
Thank you for listening to the Sovereign Man Podcast. If you're ready to take charge of your life and become the man you've always wanted to be, we invite you to join the movement at sovereignman.ca.